This is video number 8, crater system mare moscoviense. Again, we'll zoom in on all the numerous structures that are visible. We're zooming in now from 6 kilometers coming down. Again, you'll see the rod, a building composed of many rods, courtyard around it, greenery, one large structure there which I can see rod-like structures in it. I'm not sure if it is or it's a natural formation. That one's a very tricky one, but most other ones are very easy to visualize. We've got 2 towers here, or a larger and smaller tower. You've got walls, like excavated walls around the edges. It's a bit too blurred to go any closer. We just passed one other bright hill. We've got other angular structures in excavations as well. They're rod-like structures. We're passing a hilly area, fair bit of greenery, and here we have something interesting where we actually have the square-like walls with shadows, but again a bit blurred. We've just passed one here. That's a bit more clearer. We have the common structure of square excavation around the area, shadow, so there's two rods in this one. The quick measurement using meters will show it is let's do it again. So we're just getting the top of the tower coming down is 60 meters, which is about 20 to 25 stories, and again you see the bright white lines around the square area as though it's a fence. We'll just zoom in over landscape. We've got a very good picture of one here. This is a very nice, interesting structure. You'll see a smaller one in the foreground, and again the rectangular patterns around it. This becomes interesting, and I just saw that little one on the side. There's more than one rod here in the complex. Again, that little fine white line around the edge, and we got a larger rod tower on this angle here. What appears like square little excavations around it, a shadow. And on here we got a nice little one that looks like a cross. So we got them sideways and upwards. There's 2 there. And again we see the familiar pattern of towers around the crater. A bit of greenery and horizontal rods, which are rarer but also visible in quite a few craters, and usually they can reach around 240 meters. Here we have one with a prominent wall around it, so we got one tower there, one inside the excavation, and that sharp white fenced or wall around the excavation is commonly seen. One down there as well. That's a very common construction. We didn't see these square excavations in the Tycho crater system. They're all basically towers without many square-like structures around them, so they could have been more ancient. So obviously that area is very barren, and there's no vegetation in the Tycho crater system. So because there's no erosion or anything on the moon, or to a very small extent, they could have been hundreds of thousands of years old, maybe millions. Okay, here we've got more towers. There's a nice tower there sideways. The whole area is very walled, and many things happening here with towers and walls and excavations happening. And again the dense greenery, so it's probably a very lush landscape due to the lava flows from the volcanoes that existed in that area, and that could be a reason why this area is heavily, densely populated. One other example here. We got the rod-like construction, little zigzag walls, very fine. Excavation around there. One there as well. Shadows. They're everywhere. The whole landscape is littered. There's a rod-like building here. There's one sticking up. And that sharp zigzag wall around the edges of all these type of things, which I'm not sure is a picture reflection or not, but it doesn't seem like it. Here is a very dense green area, and this has got very clear resolution. You can see the walls happening here, the little rectangular structures. These are very larger rod buildings, very bright white, as though they're luminous. You'll see the shadow, there's one more there, and you'll see many types of square buildings, walkways that lead down to the crater excavations. Here we have an interesting one sticking up. Again, the areas of excavations around these structures and walls. This is easy to see when it's about 2.3 kilometers. As you'll see. Now that line around all these areas of 300 square kilometers is actually where the resolution cuts out. So once you go on the right, you can't see anything below 2 kilometers. Again, I can't explain why it's only this 300 square kilometers. If a satellite went all around the moon and took images from all around the moon, why is this area only observable? Here we have quite a few buildings, zigzag patterns, many squares. The rod tower there is easily seen, the shadow, very heavily built up area. Actually, we'll zoom down this crater here. I just saw a nice little pattern there. There we go. We got a rod structure coming out of this crater. We'll just go back up higher. It's usually easier to discern. Okay, we've just missed the structure here. Again, we see buildings, very familiar type of patterns. They're rod-like structures, that one there. Then you'll see the lines around it indicating excavation, and these bright white ones around the edges, which most of these have. Again, this is a clear example. You'll see that bright white line around the edge, and then the tower. Just zoomed over a few craters there. Just let me go back. I just thought I saw something in that crater there. It looked a bit bright. We'll just increase height for a second. Yes, we got a nice tower happening on this edge here. Nice big one. It forms a virtual type of pyramid or a mound. You've got areas of excavation around it, and the shadow. We'll go back into this area now we're zooming into. Okay, here we have some, again, tower formations, very green, light green going to dark green as we approach the crater. And again, we got all these tower formations sticking up out of excavated areas. This is a nice little pattern occurring in this area here. We've got these sticking up as well, but there's they're going sideways as well, and the area is very dense and green. This image here, we've got a very nice pattern occurring, so though it's a T-shaped type of rod building formation. That's very nice. You can see the excavation around it, square and rectangular excavation areas around it. This is one other nice one here. We've got the larger towers coming up, the internal ones. We got many towers here in this crater, which is common in the Tycho crater. They're all around the edges. You see the whole formation. Not sure why, but it's very common to have it all around the edges. Oh, we just missed this nice little structure here. We got the rod building coming up. We got court-like areas around it, zigzag, and again the green becomes more green towards the craters, assuming that's where condensation and moisture accumulate. There's a whole network of towers around this crater. Very good example. That's a cluster there. Nice large cluster in that area. And this is an interesting one here. It's actually, they seem to go larger and smaller and then excavated areas. And there's all walls and structures, square, rectangular structures everywhere on the landscape. That's a nice one as well, but we missed this larger one here on the corner. The landscape, that's a very large collection of rods in a building. These ones down here. More similar example. Again, you can see the courtyard type of excavations around the buildings. It's a nice example as well. You've got them here excavated. I mean, the greenery is pretty thick around here. This shows a whole ring of towers around this crater, which seems to be fairly common again. And this is interesting. We've got a white line pattern around this as well, which is larger than normal. Okay, here we go into one interesting crater. We've got a rod structure coming out of there, one internal. Seems to be a building in this area. And we rod a building on this side as well. One there. That's an interesting pattern. That's a very nice one. That shows the wall around it. It shows two coming out of the side, and that always there's the pattern of a round. There's like a little fence of a bright white zigzag structure around the structure itself. Very nice one, that one. We're now heading to a nice rod-like structure there, which is 240 meters in the crater, and that was only a small crater, which was unusual. Usually large ones are in larger craters. Here we have a nice pattern happening here as well. More buildings. Very large collection of towers in the system and very dense greenery, very hilly. This is a cross-shaped type of tower there, but the resolution is not that good. Okay, here we go. Very large rod, and again more towers around the edge. I estimate that's about 240 meters as well. The size is always double from 50, 60, then they go to 110, then they double to 240. We have a very nice type of elbow pattern here coming out here as well. We just lost some resolution in that area. And again, we're just coming down to this area down here where there's numerous rods in the whole area.